Good morning and welcome to Niaga Awani with me, Nabila Khalida. We have a lot to unpack today, but right now we're diving into a topic that affects every business and individual in the digital age, which is AI-enhanced cybercrime. So joining us is Arun Kumar, the Regional Vice President of ManageEngine, a global leader in IT management and cybersecurity solutions. Arun, thank you for joining us, and let's begin with the big picture. We've seen a surge in AI-driven scams and cybercrime in Malaysia. So can you walk us through the real-world signs that AI-enhanced cybercrime is already affecting individuals and also businesses here, please?
So very good morning. Thank you very much for hosting me. So if you look at cyber threats across the world has been on the rising trend over the last few years, right? So for various reasons, given that many organizations pushing for digital transformation, so which includes changing the way they operate, right? So a lot of applications going on cloud and mobile first approach, very distributed workforce. A lot of this are primary reasons because the attack surface today is very big, very different, and that is one of the primary reasons why across the world you could see that the cyber attacks are actually increasing, and Malaysia is actually no different to it. But what's really a concern for many countries, including Malaysia, is the AI-driven attacks, right? So when we talk about the AI-driven attacks, this happens in big scale. Take the data of Malaysia in the last few quarters itself. The cyber attacks or the reported cases have actually increased by 20% and above, and 69% of the reported cases are actually on the phishing. And there is also data which is available which talks about the scam calls increasing by more than 82% compared to last year. On top of it, we could also know that deepfake videos, which includes celebrities, political leaders, which talks about using their videos for scam and investments, and also AI-generated images targeting minors, typically the school and college students. So this increase in scale is one of the primary concerns for Malaysia as well. So if you little bit deep dive why this is happening, so the benefits of AI into the hands of hackers means you can automate a lot of process and you can do it accurately using the firmographic and demographics information of the country, and you can also enhance it over a period of time at real scale. So this is the fundamental and primary reason you could see a lot of AI-driven attacks happening in Malaysia at larger scale in volume.
That's actually very alarming, and so we want to dig deeper. We see that AI is often as a tool for defense, but increasingly it's being weaponized by attackers. So how exactly are cybercriminals using AI to bypass traditional security systems, and what makes these attacks so hard to detect?
So if you look at any cyber attack, right, it is just not one incident, it's a series of events. So if you look at from a hacker standpoint, there are 5 steps which they do to do an attack, right? Starts with data gathering, which includes collecting a lot of information about the industry, about the vulnerabilities, about the assets, on which company or which individual you wanted to target. And then you do the initial access, try to get into that network. Then there is a lot of persistent effort which gets involved, which means you find ways, navigate the defense system, existing tools, technologies, and then take a command and control of the infrastructure, and finally start extracting the data and exploit, right? So this usually needs a team, a big size, with a lot of know-how on technology. And for both the parties involved here, time is a big essence. But with AI, you can automate the complete model. And it's just not about automating at every step. You can also do very hyper-personalized. So which means you collect the complete information using social engineering attacks, both from the corporate websites, as well as from the social media websites, go very personal based on the current situation. And in case if there is some defense mechanism in an organization to defend these attacks, the malware can actually learn by itself over a period of time, find different ways, avenues to penetrate. And when this happens in scale, when the model is able to learn, the AI really helps the hacker. So what I mean by that is, you don't need a big team. You don't need hackers to be technologically very advanced. And given that time is an essence for everybody, you can do this in few hours, right? So that is the big weapon which hackers have today when it comes to using AI to infuse attacks in organizations as well as in individuals.
But Arun, with that level of sophistication and looking ahead, what are the next big cyber threats that businesses and the public should be preparing for or perhaps watching out for next, and especially in Southeast Asia?
Right, so if you look at AI-driven phishing attacks will continue because this goes super personalized today, right? So you're able to target very accurately depending upon the size of the organization, the maturity of their cyber security posture and all of that. And AI-driven phishing attacks in the sense, you can also automate using a lot of chatbots. It's very difficult for individuals today to understand whether they are interacting with humans or they are interacting with chatbots. And given that these messages are so personalized, what happens? You kind of trust people and tend to share information which you are not supposed to do. And on top of that, take the case of deepfakes itself, right? So we all know deepfakes is usually to spread misinformation. Usually political leaders are the targets. But when it comes to the corporate world, you can very well identify the corporate leader or the person whom you wanted to target. Basically, the person who has the complete access or who's close to this corporate leader. You can kind of do a very personalized video, voice, SMS, message and all of that. And when you kind of try to target them so personalized, this impacts at scale over a period of time on more number of organizations with less number of people on the attacking side. That is one thing to be looked at. And with the arrival of Gen AI, a lot of organizations do invest in Gen AI capabilities. But on the Gen AI, when it is in the hands of hackers, there is something which we call as adversary AI and ML, which kind of comes with the forms of models like data poisoning, which is basically these language models learn over a period of time on the trained set of data, and using the prompt, it can give you a lot of answers. And what matters for organization is how accurate it is. Data poisoning is where the hackers inject incorrect or misinformation into the model itself. So the accuracy of the language model comes down, and then there is something called as model tampering. You talk about model tampering, these language models gets trained using certain models and structures. When that structure itself changed, again, the accuracy of the language model comes down. So which means AI used by organizations for productivity, for automation, for business outcomes, the information is incorrect. So this is something very serious organization needs to look at. And on top of it, if you take Southeast Asia as a region today, it's heavy on manufacturing and industry. So AI can be also used in IT, OT, and also it can impact on supply chain attacks. So what I mean by supply chain attacks here is manufacturing industries rely on a lot of other organizations to supply parts, go through the chain to deliver certain outcomes. When the associated industries get an impact, the production unit comes to an halt. So this is also one of the major concerns we have seen. And on top of that, many of these industries also goes on automation. So IT and operational technology, which is your machines, are well connected today to inject a lot of data to derive decisions. When that is also under attack, it impacts their productivity. So these are some of the threats which organizations should look at. starts right from adopting Gen AI capabilities to manufacturing industries when it comes to outside IT, and also the supply chain attacks which impact other organizations surrounding and manufacturing unit. These are some concerns which organizations should look at in Southeast Asia.
All right, indeed, like you mentioned earlier, deepfakes and real-time impersonation attacks are no longer science fiction. They're actually happening now. So what gaps still exist in our ability to detect and respond to these AI-specific threats? And as AI continues to evolve, how should cybersecurity strategies evolve with it? And what role does AI itself play in defending against all these threats? Arun?
Yep. So I think it all starts with getting your foundations correct. So talking about foundations, even today, a lot of organizations take a very siloed approach when it comes to IT management and IT security. But what is the need of the hour today is have a very holistic and unified approach. So why it is important to track and measure every asset, every identity in an organization is because, like again, it is not just one incident which causes a breach or an attack. It is a series of events. So it's important organizations are able to proactively correlate if there is any anomaly and try to mitigate could be the first fundamental step. And it is always well advised for organizations to take a kind of like assessment through some third party and find out where do they lag in terms of the cyber maturity and what would be the impact for them in case if there is an attack in the next 6 months to 12 months. And there are certain standard frameworks which many organizations follow, like NIST cybersecurity framework. That could be a very good starting point to follow the recommendations processes, which helps to bring certain level of maturity for an organization. That could be some first foundation and fundamental step which organizations can look at. And second thing would be, many a times human links are the weakest chain in the cyber security. So it's important for employees in an organization to be trained regularly, keep them aware of what are the latest cyber issues happening across the world, and bring a very collective approach. Because a lot of organizations many a times tend to feel that cybersecurity is the responsibility of IT team, but that's not the case today. Everybody in the organization is accountable. So more training, more awareness is very much required. And finally, when it comes to deepfakes or AI-driven attacks, the other way to counter this is also using AI. So you have to invest in tools and technologies which also follow the latest trends, adopt as part of their product development, build AI capabilities on products which to a larger extent can help to automate and proactively mitigate attacks. So this is going to be a series of process, not just a one-time activity. So you have to look at getting your foundations right, do an assessment with third-party vendor, follow certain frameworks which are of global standards, and then get the right tools and technologies which also invest in AI. Could be one of the best practices and recommendations many organizations can follow. But it doesn't stop here, right? Because cyber security always goes by the model of if there is an attack, we'll be able to defend. But there is also something called as cyber resilience. So which means basically it's under the assumption that what tools you may invest, you are prone to attack. But if you are on an attack, how quick you are able to recover. So which means you follow certain processes, right? You have a backup in place, you do periodic assessment, and if there is an attack, recover quickly and do a proper incident response, notify the authorities, notify your customers, you tell them what is the impact which has gone, and quickly fix those gaps, vulnerabilities, and you bounce back to operational stuff. So which is basically you build a business resilience on top of it. So having a very good cyber security process and along with that build cyber resilience could be the best approach organizations can follow in this evolving landscape.
All right, we have about 1 minute left. Maybe one final question before we wrap up. What advice would you give to businesses in Southeast Asia, especially in Malaysia, and individuals to protect themselves in this AI-driven threat landscape? Please.
right? So the best recommendation for individuals, citizens, as well as organizations is don't take cybersecurity easily. Get your foundations correct, which includes having the right password policies, have multi-factor authentication in place, and just don't trust, always verify. This would be one of the best recommendations many organizations also follow, but it is important individuals and citizens also follow this approach.
All right, thank you, Arun, for those insights. It's clear that while AI brings incredible innovation, it also introduces new risks that we must address head-on. So to our viewers, stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember, cybersecurity starts with you. For now, we'll go for a short break. We will be right back.